Alright, we're going to be starting off with the Scout class. It is the first class in the class selection list, and it is one of the more underestimated classes in the game. The Scout is hard to play as a beginner. When you're just starting out, you should probably stay away from it. Probably go Soldier first, or Pyro even. Scout has some pros and cons to it. One of the pros is it's the fastest class in the game, and it can double jump, which is very useful. And with the Force of Nature, you can even triple jump. As a beginner, though, if you're going to play the class, I recommend that you take the Force of Nature and Sandman, but don't stick with them forever because they are training wheels. And you'll see that most of the update items for the game, they're just training wheels. It's just so that way you can ease yourself into the class. Scout is, yeah, it's underestimated. It only has 105 health, but you can flank people, which is your biggest advantage. So if you can hit them from behind, hit them from behind. That's pretty much Scout for you. Just a quick summary of it. And, prepare to scream for Doctor a lot. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen. You get hurt easy. Alright. Soldier is the second class in the class selection list. It is a fairly good class for beginners, partially because it has 200 health, and it's a pretty easy to pick up class. When you're first starting out, I would say stay away from the direct hit, and the buff banner is only mildly useful. Gunboats is if you take the height advantage a lot, which is an important part of the Soldier. Maintaining height advantage makes it so that way you can control your opponents easier. The Equalizer, there is no reason not to take it. It is a great melee weapon. It's probably one of the best melee weapon updates in the game so far. Soldier is a fairly well-rounded class. It's good at indirect. Well, it's mild at indirect. It's good at head-on, and it can take a lot of punishment. I'd choose it as a beginner. Alright, Pyro. Some pros and cons to go over with it. Pro, you have 175 health. You can deal a lot of damage by setting enemies on fire and run away. You can put out fires on your teammates without having to pee on them. And you are a good spy checker, because if a spy gets within you and you're just blasting away with your fire, like a good pyro, then they will get set on fire, and that sends up a red flag with your teammates. The back burner, stay away from it as a beginner. Actually, just stay away from it in general. The flare gun is a toss-up between it and a shotgun. Flare gun against another pyro, or the new Charge and Targe Demo Man, is kind of redundant. The shotgun is the win stick in these scenarios, so I think the shotgun has some more value added to it now. The extinguisher, no reason not to take it. Any Targe Demo Man who's on fire won't think twice about getting into close combat with you. Just one-shot him with that extinguisher. Just put them out of their poor, miserable lives. Great class for beginners. I definitely recommend it for a beginner. It's a great class. Alright. Demo Man is one of the defensive classes, and it has some pros and cons to it. Pro, you are the best in the game at indirect combat. Most of the time you do not need line of sight. And 2, you have the worst update in the game. Sorry, we got gypped. Sticky bombs are great for point defense, because if you're paying attention to the little ticky thingies at the bottom that tell you when your point's being captured, you just lay those stickies on the point, and when someone tries to capture it, you just detonate them. Now, one thing you want to watch out for is because some people will try to juke you, where they will step onto the point and then jump off quickly. Don't let them fool you. Give it like 2 seconds before you detonate, and they'll assume that you're not paying attention. Alright, so it's a class that requires vigilance. You're great for taking out sentry guns. You're the best in the game for taking out sentry guns. 3 stickies can take out a sentry gun. All your weapons are high-powered. The problem is slower reload. and you got the worst update. Pros and cons of the heavy. Um, 300 health, constant target for medics, and you have a big gun, which does a lot of damage, but only up close is it really effective. Cons are you suck at long range. Sorry. You're constantly going to be backstabbed and sniped in the head, so be paranoid with this class. This class requires some paranoia. The updates, killing gloves of boxing, I'm not so sure on. You can leave them or take them. They're not they're not bad. Natasha, if a medic on your team has the Kritzkrieg, use your Natasha. When they invented the Kritzkrieg, they had Natasha in mind. And for the sandwich, it's portable med kit for your. Alright, engineer. Pretty decent class, some pros and cons. Pros are you get to build sentry guns, dispensers, and teleporters to help your teammates out. You're a support class and defensive class. Cons, 125 health and spies. Spies can sap your stuff, and it will be a bitch and a half if you don't kill that spy to maintain your stuff. Alright, there is no update for the engineer so far, which is probably the way it should remain. Engineer, I don't play it much because I was never really a fan of SimCity. It's a good class. It is a very much a team player class, and if no one on your team is playing medic and you suck at medic, do the right thing and at least play an engineer. Well-rounded class, not really for beginners though. Alright, sniper, a support class. You are going to be taking out enemy snipers, heavies, and medics. You are just there to pick off people from long range. Haven't seen many games that have been won by a sniper. Snipers are an okay class for beginners, but it's more about aim. So if you don't have a good aim, then I would suggest staying away from the sniper, unless you decide that you want to actually branch out. The update for the sniper was probably one of the better ones. Also, keep in mind you are a constant target for other snipers and spies. So watch your back. Another class that kind of requires you to be paranoid. It's a good class though. Good class. Spy is good at doing spy things. Taking out key players on the enemy team and destroying the engineer encampments. You can wreak some serious havoc as a spy. As for your watches, the Cloak and Dagger and the Dead Ringer are both pretty good. There's no reason not to take either of them. Just really depends on your playstyle. The Cloak and Dagger is for more of the camper, and the Dead Ringer is for if you're really out there just causing mayhem. Though the Cloak and Dagger does offer its own advantages. The Ambassador? I would say that's worse than the Revolver. Just go for Revolver if you ask me. It's a pretty decent class. Not something that's too good for beginners, though. Alright, Medic. You're a key role in any team. A team without a medic better have 2 engineers, is what I'm saying. A medic is great at 2 things: keeping the team alive and combat. Now, it seems funny that the medic would actually be good at combat, but with the Blutsauger and the Ubersaw, almost anything is possible for a combat medic. But most of the time you're going to be willing to stick just healing people. Prime targets for advancing would be the Heavy and the Pyro, but if you want to take out Sentry Point, forget those 2. You want to use a Demo Man. The Demo Man is your best friend for taking out points. Medic is a great class. If you're really new to the game, it's a pretty lazy class. It's also one of the faster classes.